This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and NIL Game Changers. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And the opening half hour being brought to you by our good friends at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury, Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, the best in new inventory. Great pre-owned inventory with the Sunbury Motors guarantee. And a terrific service department. I don't care whether it's inspections, quick lane, routine, whatever it may be. It's all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. We will open up with the Hall of Famer, Ray Didinger, to talk about yesterday's Eagles game. Todd says having some issues. Really? Issues? Well, as he works through issues, we'll get to what people really do want to talk about, at least out of the gate, and that is Beau Pribula exiting and Drew Aller coming back for next season. Let's face it, the two do go hand in hand. And when Drew made the decision to come back for 2025, Beau's been waiting his turn. Now, for those of you who are saying, he's leaving the team high and dry before the SMU game, right? I can understand the sentiment, but Beau talked this over with everybody, and he and James Franklin had a lot of conversations. I will point out, Beau did practice last night. But I also will point out that he also had a couple of that he seemed distracted. Now, did I think anything of it last night? No. Nope, did not. Didn't even think twice about that last night. But it is the system that is the problem here. And what has really bothered me about college football in particular is that you have a system in place for college basketball that has worked for more than 30 years. 30 to 35 years. The early signing period, second Wednesday of November. Now, I realize you're dealing with fewer players. You're not dealing with signing 25 as opposed to signing 3 to 5. I understand that part. But you have players, all three Penn State commits, signed on the second Wednesday of November, which I believe this year was the 11th. Okay? And now they're playing their senior seasons. And there's a late signing period in April. If something happens, you want to fill the breach or whatever. And you have a late transfer portal. I know the calendar works into part of this. But college football can't seem to get it right. They can't figure it out. And I don't and if you're telling me Southern high school coaches are incredibly vocal about this, who cares? I don't care if a Southern high school football coach doesn't like having an early signing period. No, tough beans. Okay? This is college football, your high school football. Understand where you are in the pecking order. Okay? College football does not make decisions based on high school football, or does not make decisions based on the opinions of high school football coaches in the South. It doesn't, and nor should it ever. Now, if this is influencing SEC schools and maybe some ACC schools because they talk to high school coaches and they're going against it, you're all wrong about this. You're wrong. You're messing up the calendar for a reason that makes no sense. The early signing period should be, let's pick a time, the first Wednesday of August. Training camp. The vast majority of the guys that said they were going to sign with Penn State back on the first Wednesday of August all ended up signing now. So what decision, what does that have to go into decisions? It doesn't. The transfer portal part. I know it's a limited window where it's open. But goodness gracious, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Having a transfer portal open when teams are preparing for playoffs makes no sense. Now, I realize Preston Stone, who was the starter of the first 3 games for SMU, was replaced by Kevin Jennings. By the way, it's 73 in Dallas today. Figured I'd point that out. And says he's going to be available as the backup quarterback for Saturday's game. Okay. Well, he's doing it. Everybody's situation is different. As James Franklin said today, if he could recruit Beau Pribula today and do it all over again, he would, because that's the kind of guy Beau is. And believe me, I am, as you know, a big Beau guy. Always have. All right? Okay. So, I hope wherever Beau ends up, he ends up having a great career, because I think the world of the guy. And I can't say enough good things about Beau Pribula. Penn State will have to move forward without him. Ethan Grunkemeyer will be the backup quarterback. And then Jackson Smolik would be 3. What has really helped Grunkemeyer's development... Yes.
I do have Ray on the line. I'm having trouble with my microphone.
Okay.
Ray can't hear me. Okay.
There we go. And hello, Ray. How are you today? And what a pleasure.
Hi, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Okay, the performance by the Eagles yesterday against the Steelers. What were your thoughts on the all-around performance that we saw Philadelphia put together yesterday?
Really good. Really good. Especially coming off the kind of week that it was, with a lot of unhappiness coming off the game against Carolina, where there was a lot of grumbling after it was over. They felt like they didn't play particularly well on offense, and so there was a lot of talk around the team during the week about possible unhappiness in the locker room, a rift between the quarterback and the receivers, blah blah blah, and so there was a lot of questions that needed to be answered on Sunday, with the Eagles facing a much better opponent, obviously, in the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I thought that the way they came out, right away, and threw the ball effectively, moved the ball effectively, came up with a couple of big stops on defense after a couple of turnovers, and then, really kind of took charge of the game from that point on. I thought it was one of their best performances in a while, Steve. They've had some good ones. The Rams were a pretty good team. They beat them. They beat the Ravens. But this was one, coming off the week that it was, with a lot of questions and a lot of uncertainty kind of surrounding the team, to come out and play the way they played against Pittsburgh. And really, if you talk about in terms of totally shutting down an opponent, they really shut down the Steelers and won that game. So I thought, top to bottom, it was really, given the circumstances and all the talk coming into the game, I thought it was a really solid performance.
Yeah, you referenced the 2 turnovers early in the game, the Hurts fumble, the fumble by Cooper DeJean, and the defense gives up nothing along the way. I mean, to me, that was the point of the game where you just look. I looked at it and said, Pittsburgh can't win today. If they can't take point blank and score in these situations, I mean, the Eagles' defense is playing at too high a level, Ray.
Yeah, exactly. That was my feeling exactly the same. I mean that Hurts gets stripped on fumbles. Pittsburgh gets the ball, can't do anything. Then they punt, and then the Eagles fumble the punt. And then the Steelers recover on the 10-yard line. I mean, it's a walk into the end zone from there. And the defense pushed them back, and they wound up settling for a field goal. And at that point, you just felt like the Eagles had control of the game. If the Steelers had a chance to really kind of jump out front and put some more pressure on the Eagles, that was the opportunity. And the defense just wouldn't let it happen. And that's the way the defense has played really pretty much, well, throughout this 10-game winning streak. I mean, they have played really, really good. I mean, Vic Fangio has come in and as the defensive coordinator and really pulled this unit together. And the addition of some young players, you mentioned DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, who's come in, and a lot of people are talking about him as Defensive Rookie of the Year. I certainly wouldn't vote against that. I mean, they've added so much. And, Nakobe Dean, who the last 2 years was unable to really play because he was injured a lot, has really stepped up this year and brought a lot to the linebacker position. And, Zach Baun, who's a guy that nobody knew anything about at the start of the season, has played like a Pro Bowl player really from week one. So defensively right now, I mean, they're right now over the stretch of this 10-game winning streak. They're playing better than any defense in the NFL.
Yep. Is part of that the maturity of the young players up front, or maybe a Dean? I mean, where is this coming from? We're now a unit that a year ago had some ups and downs. Now is somebody that you really can't penetrate.
Well, I think if you watch the games, and then if you go back and you watch the tape, the thing that jumps out at you is compared to the defense of last year, especially at the end of last year, when everybody was scoring on this team. This defense is younger. It's faster, much faster. I mean, you can really see that on tape. It's more physical. I mean, they're really good. They were a poor tackling team down the stretch last year. Now they're one of the best tackling teams in the league. And they are clearly better coached. I mean, this is a defense last year that fired its defensive coordinator. They were 10-1 and fired their defensive coordinator midseason. They brought in Matt Patricia, and it only got worse. So they just totally cleaned house there on the defensive side of the ball, coaching wise. And they brought in Vic Fangio, who's been around forever and has always had top 10 defenses. And he came in and took this group of guys, and a lot of young guys, as you alluded to, a lot of young guys, and he's got them playing at a really high level right now. And you look at it, I mean, they're the number one defense in the league right now. They're playing like it, and they're also the youngest defense in the league. I mean, you look at the 11 starters, the average age of them is 25. So you figure these guys are only going to get better.
All right. When I look at Quinyon Mitchell, look, he's out of Toledo, and I do realize that Nick Saban said, hey, in the transfer portal, we'd have gone after him at a heartbeat, which I understand. But when you see a young player like this, I don't know if you can call him a shutdown corner yet, but playing at that level, what has that meant to the rest of the secondary that he holds his spot on the field all day?
It's huge. It's huge. And, I don't like to throw the term around unnecessarily, but Steve, he is a shutdown corner.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at him, he's got no interceptions. People say he's got no interceptions. Yeah, that's because nobody's throwing his way. Right. I mean, he has already established that level of respect here. And yeah, I mean, if you were evaluating going into the draft, yes, the Toledo thing was a factor because it was hard to judge him with the level of competition he was playing against. The receivers, yeah, he was blanketing the receivers that they were playing at Toledo. But how does that translate to the guys he's going to be facing in the NFL? It's much easier to draft cornerbacks out of the SEC. But when you watched him, I mean, he has the perfect size. He's got great technique. And he's really physical. He's not just a cover corner. I mean, he comes up and plays the run. I mean, he can pretty much do everything. That was what the tape told you. And the big test with him really was when he went to Mobile, when he went for the Senior Bowl.
Yes.
Because everybody was kind of waiting to see, okay, how's he going to do at a Senior Bowl when he's going to have to cover the best receivers in the draft. I mean, guys that are going to be sort of like the guys he's going to be covering on Sundays in the NFL. And he went to Mobile, and he was the best defensive back in camp by a long shot. I mean, it wasn't even close. And that answered the questions about, okay, is he just a product of playing at a lesser caliber competition in college? No, he's the real thing. And so the Eagles, hey, listen, I mean, they got a little lucky. I mean, this guy never should have been the 22nd pick in the draft. I mean, he should have probably been a top 10 pick. But the fact is, everybody was drafting quarterbacks and receivers, and so the defensive players fell down the draft pretty far. And lo and behold, Quinyon Mitchell falls into the Eagles' lap at 22. And then in the second round, Howie Roseman, the general manager, did some pretty slick maneuvering to trade up to get Cooper DeJean. And so the Eagles come out of the draft with the two guys that I had ranked 1-2 at the cornerback position. They got both of them. Yeah. So and it has made a huge difference in this defense. And the fact that Nakobe Dean is finally healthy and they're getting him on the field, you see how good he is. And Jalen Carter, who was their first pick a year ago, who was very promising last year but kind of tailed off at the end of the season, has played at a very high level right from week one. And, right now he's playing as good as any interior defensive lineman in the league.
Yeah, no, I've got to give credit where credit's due there. Jalen Hurts during this 10-game winning streak has incredible stats. But what are your eyes, Ray, telling you about the level of play with which he is going about his business when he decides to throw the football?
I mean, there's been a lot of, I guess this comes with playing quarterback in Philadelphia. You're under a microscope. I mean, every pass you throw is talked about on the streets of Philadelphia the next day.
It's nice.
It's not easy to play quarterback in this town. I mean, ask Ron Jaworski, ask Randall Cunningham, ask Donovan McNabb for sure. But I think that. I think that Hurts has played well this year. I really do. It's been an adjustment because the offense is so different. I mean, right now they're running the ball more than any team in the league. And so Hurts' role in this is, I mean, nobody likes the term, but he's been kind of a game manager, really, for most of the season. But when he's had to make throws, he's made throws. And early in the season, through the first 4 games when they were 2-2, I mean, one of the reasons they were struggling early was because he was making mistakes and he was turning the ball over, and they were losing games as a result. And they just made a conscious decision during the bye week that we're going to come out of this bye, and we're going to come out and we're just going to build around the things we do best, which is block people at the line of scrimmage and hand the ball to Saquon Barkley. And that's what turned the whole season around. But when he's had to make throws, Hurts has made key throws. Now, last week's game against Carolina, it was a poor game for him. I mean, he held the ball too long. He didn't throw the ball particularly well. Didn't turn it over, but he didn't make many big plays. Yesterday, when everybody was looking at him to see, after some of the things that were said, and A.J. Brown talking about we need to improve our passing game, there was a lot of pressure on him coming into this game, and he came right out of the chute throwing strikes, and 8 for 8 in the first quarter, 11 for 12 in the first half, and you saw he finished up pretty much almost 300 yards, and you saw him playing with the kind of assurance that people are used to seeing him play with. So, I mean, there was a lot of talk about him. There was a lot of criticism about his play this year, which I thought a lot of it was unwarranted. But I think he put a lot of that to rest. Steve, my feeling has always been. I mean, Terry Bradshaw said in an interview I did with him years ago, I thought he said something that was really spot on when he said, you look at my stats, you look at me ranked among the all-time passers. I mean, you rank the all-time passers on passer efficiency rating or whatever they call that thing. I mean, Bradshaw's like 93rd, and he said, I don't care about that. I don't care about completion percentage. I don't care about average yards per attempt. For a quarterback in the NFL, there are 2 things that matter: scoring points and winning games. Yep. That's what a quarterback's job is. If you score points and you win games, that's what you're out there to do. It's not to put up stats. And I think that you look at what Hurts has done in terms of scoring points and winning games. I mean, he's right there with anybody.
There are 8 billion people in the world. Why can't they find more than 15 people that can actually play the position?
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. It's a tough position. I've always contended it's the toughest position in sports. Yep. I really do think to play the mental and the physical, to say nothing of the emotional demands of playing that position. You know what's asked of you, and in terms of your leadership, in terms of being clutch, in terms of just this, being able to make those split-second decisions and take the big hits and get up and do it over again. Yep. I think it's the toughest position in sports. It's not easy anywhere. I think it's tougher in some cities than others, and Philadelphia might be the toughest of all. You definitely have to be built and wired a certain way. Mm-hmm. And Jalen Hurts is a pretty even-keeled, doesn't show much emotion sort of guy. But if you look at his record now, it's 49-18 as a starter or something. So that's if you're judging it just on who's winning games, he's winning games with the best of them.
Exactly. Ray, what a pleasure. Thanks so much for your valuable time today. I really appreciate it.
Hey, it's always a pleasure to be with you, Steve. Anytime. Talk to you next month when the playoffs roll around.
You got that right. I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yep, sure will. Take care, Steve. Bye-bye.
The Hall of Famer, the great Ray Didinger. All right, more coming up. We're going to actually talk about Susquehanna football, another dramatic ending, and they're still alive. There is nothing like doing the post-game show on basketball and having the basketball coach do play-by-play of the last play of the game from Susquehanna.
So it was like 10, 12 minutes?
Oh, it was incredible because we're talking about the Coppin State game, the whole deal. And then I mentioned, hey, by the way, because, his son plays for Susquehanna. And Jody was at the game. And he says he had it on his phone, and he's describing the last play. I'm like, oh, Dick and I are rolling. Right? So I texted him. Where's that text? I said, your play-by-play was outstanding. I loved it. Jonesy, thanks so much. I don't really know anything about your job, but I just wanted to put some pressure on you to stay on top. All right, we'll talk Susquehanna football next half hour here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
This episode is brought to you by AWS. Amazon Q Business is the new generative AI assistant from AWS. Many tasks can make business slow, like wading through mud. Help! Luckily, there's a faster, easier, less messy choice. Amazon Q can securely understand your business data to help you streamline tasks, like summarizing quarterly results or doing complex analyses in no time. Q got this. Learn what Amazon Q Business can do for you at aws.com/learn more.
Holidays are a time of year to celebrate and reflect. Reflect on the past year, a year filled with challenges and uncertainty. Uncertainty that bred resilience and hope. Hope for healing, change, new beginnings, and unity. United as one people, one community, by one mission, to safeguard and protect what matters most. From all of us at Purdy Insurance, we wish you health, happiness, and joy this holiday season and success in the new year.
Ho, ho, ho. Sunbury Motors Ford will help you get through the snow.
SMC has the area's largest selection of 4x4s with over 310 new and pre-owned trucks and SUVs priced as low as $13,968 with payments from just $259 a month with no money down. Sunbury Motors has over 40 new 2024 Escapes slashed $5,000 plus get 1.9% financing for 60 months starting at just $27,650. SMC has 31 of the top-selling 2024 Ford Bronco Sports, discounted $47.50 and priced from only $28,315. Choose from over 45 new Ford F-150s with savings up to an amazing $12,616, and they start at just $46,549 with available 1.9% for 60 months. The Mertz family and all of Sunbury Motors would like to wish everyone a safe and joyous holiday season.
Who knows Santa? Sunbury Motors knows Santa.
An in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
All right. Great to have you with us on the show today. This half hour being brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto Home Light Business, Boat, Motorcycle, RV. We all have multiple insurance needs. Just being around the soup also brings with it, by the way, disaster insurance. No? Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Drew Robinson, linebacker, Susquehanna. Congratulations on this incredible run. What has it been like for you as a player, either being out there near the end or watching from the sideline with two back-to-back last-play finishes? What's it been like?
You know, it's just the playoffs. You know, playing football around this time, it's going to be one or two plays that's going to be the deciding factor of the game, and we've just been on the right side of the outcome in that scenario. So it's just been a blessing, and very grateful to be able to play more football in December.
I'll go back to St. John's. When he kicked the field goal, did you watch it?
I did not. You know how crazy that environment was. So I kind of took a knee with some of my other teammates, and I looked away, and I let the silence tell me that we were victorious. So
that's always a fun question and a fun answer. Now we get to the end of the game. The end of the game on Saturday was bizarre. So explain to us from your perspective what was going on out there at the end to then create what seemed like for them, Bethel, a win, and then suddenly they had to play it over again.
You know, so we're playing defense. They're driving down the field slowly but surely. We get a stop. They have 5 seconds left, so we know they got one more play. They make a shot at the end zone, and they catch the ball. We look back at the line of scrimmage. There's a flag, which was a clear holding on one of my D tackles, Brian Layton, great football player. He held him, so they then called the game. But the rule is that you can't finish on an offensive penalty that results in a touchdown.
Right.
But then their coach was on the field trying to argue it. He was past our logo, trying to argue it. And they called the game, and then they said, no, there's one more play. So we ended up playing. There was another flag for unsportsmanlike. Somebody threw the helmet. I thought there should have been another one for the coach being on the field, but it happened the way it happened, and that's how it is. And we ended up playing another snap. They tried to do the laterals and all with everything, and we stopped them, and that was the end of the game.
How much is the feeling of elation versus the feeling of relief?
It was a big relief. Like, even after them getting another play, I was just happy it was over. I was at a loss of words. Like I said, with the playoffs, it's like you never know what could happen. You never know which play is going to be the biggest play. And I'm just thankful and blessed that we were able to come out victorious.
We always talk about really good teams being close-knit, right? And as you're going along through the season, I'm sure you felt that. It seems like it's more important than ever in the playoffs. And what has that meant to your success that you have a close-knit team?
Well, I don't know if you know, but we have 6 guys, which 5 other guys, including me, that came back for a 5th year this year.
Yep.
And that just goes to show towards the family that we have here at Susquehanna. Not even just our teammates, but our coaches. Our coaches, they care about it so much, and they show it all the time. They want the best. They want the best out of us, and like everybody around here is family. It doesn't matter who you are on the team. Like you're treated as family, and we just try to make sure we have that give and take relationship with the offense and the third side of the ball. Just to keep being able to trust each other, and I think the trust is the biggest factor in why we're so successful.
When you're playing Division III football, so much of this is the love of the game. How much do you love the game, and what has it meant to you, that love of the game, that you've come back for a fifth year?
Yeah, you know, I've been playing football since I was maybe 4 years old, and also watching my brother play and my father coach for 20 years. Yeah. My father introduced me to football. It was the biggest thing that ever happened. Not even just football sports. I played football, basketball, and baseball, but I found the love in football in high school to just stick to that one sport. But me just playing football is a big part of my life, and it's taught me so many lessons, and it's molded me into the man I am today. So I owe everything to football, and I owe it to football to just give it my all. And I couldn't walk away from football for my fifth year, and knowing that I had another opportunity to play football. So it's just like football is just a big part of my life.
Well, it's incredible. I mean, did you at the other ones who came back for a fifth year? Did you talk individually with them? Did you talk as a group? Right? How did that work out where you all came back together?
I knew I was back when I was a freshman, when I knew I lost that season. I think they had a conversation with themselves and their families, and they have the same love for the game that I do. That's also one thing that this team shares. A lot of us have a real good love for the game, and I think they decided on their own to just come back and play football.
What's it been like working with this coaching staff, getting ready for opponents that weren't on your schedule because it's the playoffs? Suddenly out of nowhere, you got to go out and play a playoff game against Hobart. Then it's St. John's. It's Bethel. Now it's going to be North Central College. What kind of job have the coaches done getting you ready on a week-by-week basis?
Yeah, you know, the past 2 previous years, we've kind of geeked ourselves a little bit in a sense in the first round of the playoffs. And Coach Perk wanted it this year to be different. He wanted us to be doing stuff how we do regularly. So we approach every day regularly how we would in the regular season, and try to just not to geek ourselves. You know, they do a good job giving us the game plan, and we do a good job of following the game plan and just trusting the coach. They want the best for us, and the way that they draw up the game plan is how we'll be able to be successful. So as long as we stick to the game plan and stick to who we are and just be Susquehanna, I think things will go well.
It's a Monday, so I'm going to guess there's not going to be much information, but just off the top, how much do you know about North Central College, your semifinal opponent, other than the fact they're really good?
Yeah, I know they're big up front. They like to run the ball. They're a really good football team, you know. And like I said, we're just going to attack each week the same and just focus on the game plan, you know. And they are a really good opponent, so it's going to be a real interesting game on Saturday.
How much in reality is this about how you play, and it doesn't matter who the opponent is?
At the end of the day, it's bones and plastic, as Coach Coleman was. Bones and plastic. At the end of the day, when all things goes wrong, you got your bones, which is in your body, and the plastic on your face mask. So whoever's in front of you, just line up. Like, each person puts their pants on one leg at a time, and you're just going to play football.
What is your major at Susquehanna?
I'm an accounting major.
Yeah. Eventually down the road, what would you like to do with that?
I'm working towards my CPA, which is another reason why I came back for my fifth year. I just completed my 150 mark for my credit, so I'm just going to be studying for my CPA exam and getting ready for my accounting career.
Just so everybody knows, this is the kind of person you hire. This is the kind of person you hire right here. Just so you know, right? Anybody has that kind of discipline, dedication, balances everything, that's who you hire. You've been listening to the last 15 minutes. Guess what? You hire this guy. Hey, good luck on Saturday. Appreciate the time you gave us today. Congratulations on each step that you've taken to this point. It's been a tremendous success to this stage.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you for having me on this amazing show that you have. We
enjoyed having you on. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Oh, that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun having him on. That's Drew Robinson, linebacker at Susquehanna, right? Who's put himself, has had really a terrific season. like the entire team has. I mean, he came back for his 5th year, and in his 5th year, they have put together the kind of season that anybody would dream of having in this run to the playoffs. They're going into game number 14 on the year, and Drew right now is second on the team in tackles with 65. He's got 3 tackles for losses, a couple of sacks, 2 interceptions. He's forced 3 fumbles. He's just one heck of a player. Number 4 in your program, and on this afternoon, he's number 1 in our hearts. All right. We'll take a break. Brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Ho, ho, hold up. Why is the wine cabinet empty? Just because the holidays are at the end of the month doesn't mean you have to wait to stock up on your and your guests' favorite wines. Go, go, go to Fine Wine and Good Spirits for Fill-A-Tote. Save an additional $14 when you fill your tote with 6 select wines already on sale, like La Marca Prosecco and Dark Horse Pinot Noir. Might just have to go, go, go back for more. Shop Fill-A-Tote today at Fine Wine and Good Spirits. Coupon required. Only a premium collection and other select Fine Wine and Good Spirits stores. Offer ends January 5th, 2025. Please enter responsibly.
This is the famous footwear that everyone has on their holiday wish list. So don't wait to make it famous. Whether you're searching for their favorite character shoes or the hottest sneakers, slippers, and boots, Famous Footwear has the newest styles from Nike, Adidas, Crocs, Converse, New Balance, Birkenstock, Timberland, and more. Unwrap Famous today and make everyone's holidays merry with buy one, get one half off at your local Famous Footwear or famous.com. Some exclusions apply.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
Ho, ho, ho. Sunbury Motors Ford will help you get through the snow.
SMC has the area's largest selection of 4x4s with over 310 new and pre-owned trucks and SUVs priced as low as $13,968 with payments from just $259 a month with no money down. Sunbury Motors has over 40 new 2024 Escapes slashed $5,000 plus get 1.9% financing for 60 months starting at just $27,615. SMC has 31 of the top selling 2024 Ford Bronco Sports discounted $47.50 and priced from only $28,315. Choose from over 45 new Ford F-150s with savings up to an amazing $12,616, and they start at just $46,549 with available 1.9% for 60 months. The Mertz family and all of Sunbury Motors would like to wish everyone a safe and joyous holiday season.
Who knows Santa? Sunbury Motors knows Santa.
Welcome back to the Steve Jones Show here on News Radio 1070 WKOK. We just heard from Drew Robinson of Susquehanna University, whose team takes on North Central in Naperville, Illinois, in the Division III semifinals. I believe it's 3:30 Central, 4:30 Eastern Time on Saturday. Coach Tom Perkovich will join us tomorrow.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, I'm here.
All right.
There we go. Yeah. I already said all that.
Oh, that's weird. I wonder why I couldn't hear you.
I don't know. Maybe the audience didn't hear me either. I have no idea.
Hey.
So,
are these guys even? Do they have it together? No.
No, there's a couple of technical issues.
Yes.
Right. We all know who's responsible for that. All right. So, what? What are we talking about here? Okay. But Rich Phillips, the play-by-play voice of SMU football on the show tomorrow. We'll also have Tom Perkovich tomorrow for Susquehanna. We'll have Neil Coulong tomorrow. And then for entertainment value, Matt
Again, it's so different than last year. We would have had a full-on Eagles ran a year ago, and now that has to make him happy. Joel got hurt again.
You know what? Since he's been with the Sixers, he's only played 56% of their games. It's unreal.
I know. Keith Pompey wrote an interesting column this week in that, the Sixers kind of knew that his availability was going to be an issue, but not quite sure they thought it was going to be to the extent where it would be 56% of the games.
Yeah. It's amazing. But, all right, I want to get back to Beau and Drew for a moment. Look, Beau has been patiently waiting his turn. But Drew has to make a decision that works for him. And so I never talked to any of the players about what they're thinking. I never talked to any of the parents about what they're thinking. I mean, I've talked to Drew Aller's dad just about in fact, I shouldn't say just about. I can guarantee you I've talked to Drew's dad every road game this season. And I don't mean just, hey, how you doing? I'm talking like long conversations. Talking about the Browns, about Drew. Like the part about Drew and how much he loves this team. His dad told me that a couple times. He says, Steve, he absolutely loves this team. He loves the players, the staff, the schemes, everything. He says he loves this team. Now, but I didn't look at him and say, hey, by the way, does that mean he's coming back? You don't do that. Okay? So I didn't know what Drew was thinking about or what he wanted to do about coming back. Because usually we talk about, when Jim Donovan died, we talked about Jim Donovan passing away, the play-by-play voice of the Browns, because the Allers are season ticket holders for the Browns, by the way. And do you know what Drew's dog's name is? Ozzie Newsome Kozar.
I was going to guess Bernie, so.
Right? Ozzie Newsome Kozar. So he said, so what do you call him? He says, Ozzie. I said, when you're mad at him, do you do what a typical parent does at Ozzie Newsome Kozar? He goes, nah, I just say, hey, Ozzie, knock it off. But, the Allers are a great family. The parents are great. The grandparents are terrific people. And they're just very down to earth. And Drew's very down to earth. So he decides, hey, look, I'm going to make this decision now. I'm going to announce it now. And he just wants it out of the way before the SMU game. But there's a domino effect to that. Now here's Beau sitting there. We all know Beau has been working hard. Beau has busted his backside. Okay? Busted his backside. And yes, he did practice last night. Right? But now he's sitting there. Like, well, now what do I do? And this is where the NCAA comes in. And the ignorance, sorry, tough word, but it's a word that fits, the ignorance of the NCAA as to how they have handled the calendar. And this is the system you're up against. When you're up against a system where you have a bunch of people that have, to their credit, absolutely no idea what they're doing, which the NCAA does not. They have no idea what they're doing. Like, none. When it comes to football, zero. Okay? Oh, that's cruel. That's awful. Tough. Prove me wrong. Come up with a system that works. Right? I've been saying for years, this is wrong. And I've talked about solutions. It's one thing to sit there and say they're wrong, they're idiots, whatever, blah, 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 and then don't give solutions. Then, who are you except somebody that's just screaming at the wall? Right? You got to come up with solutions. I've said, let's start with one. Number one, the early signing period should be the first Wednesday in August. I've said that over and over again. College basketball has done it for years. Why can't you do this now? Okay? Why can't you move it? Right? The vast majority of guys that signed a week ago or 2 weeks ago, vast majority of guys that signed 2 weeks ago, okay? If they were going to sign whenever it was August or whether it was now, they're going to sign. Are there some that would have waited, whatever? That's why you have the late signing period, the first Wednesday in February. That's why you have it. Okay? What they do makes no sense. Okay? You're going from the regular season to postseason. People should be gearing up for postseason, right? And you've got Penn State coaches trying to get ready for Oregon, the head coach going through recruiting, right? National 11-10 Day. So you start there. College basketball has done this for more than 30 years. Why? And it worked. Now, I realize you're talking 25 versus 3 to 5, but it works. There's a late signing period in basketball. It's in April. But they won't do it. No, we can't do it. Why? Because of Southern high school coaches. Southern high school coaches, I don't care what Southern high school coaches think at all. In the pecking order, you're the Southern high school football coach. Sorry. College football has to do what's best for college football, and the SEC does not need to kowtow, nor does the ACC, to what they think. You got to do what's best for everybody here. Makes no sense. Now, the portal, the way the portal is set up and the limited window on it, I'm sorry, you can't. It's wrong. It's wrong. The dates on the portal need to be moved back. Same thing. I mean, Marshall's not going to play in a bowl game because they have nobody available. They all transferred out. Really? I mean, the entire system is just wrong because this is what's happened. The NCAA, for decades, because they did not want the players to get any money, kept pushing amateurism, and kept kicking solutions down the road, till they finally had to react. And anytime you react, you usually do it wrong. And you got to give these guys credit. They did it wrong.